Hi everyone, so here is a very quick money lesson that back in the day gold was a very important strategic asset even 100 years back, and even now it is a very important strategic asset. For example, Indian government keeps gold in terms of its forex reserves. Whenever Indian currency falls, then as a part of its forex reserve, gold can be sold. Also, US dollar can be sold and INR can be saved, right? Now, it's not just India. Every country on earth has some kind of strategic reserves. It could be oil. So oil is one strategic reserve. Similarly, gold is another strategic reserve right now. And just yesterday, Donald Trump said that, you know what, US is going to create Bitcoin reserve. Now, it is going to be a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Natural question comes because immediately a market panic happened in the US that US stocks fell, even Bitcoin fell by 5-6%. And there was a lot of panic because a lot of conflicting information started hitting the market. Some people started saying that, you know what, this will weaken the US dollar. Some said that, okay, this will weaken INR. Some people said that Bitcoin itself will get evaporated because government is going to seize everything and nothing will be left to trade, so to say. So which version is correct? Because this is an extremely important video. I know that it sounds a little bit nerdy, that what's the point of understanding Bitcoin in context of like INR or US dollar. But trust me, the move that you make now based on this is going to define your returns in the next 10 years. Just mutual fund karte rehne se, SIP karte rehne se, nothing is going to happen. If after 10 years, if INR goes to 200, you might very well be making like 10% returns right now. Like, I mean, every year you might be making 15%. But what's the actual on a global level return of that money? So therefore, this video is extremely critical, important. If you don't have the time, just go away. Don't listen to this. This will actually demotivate you about a lot of things. So better thing is that when you have time and energy to listen to this complicated chat, then only listen, otherwise leave it. Okay. So this is one. So, okay. So before moving forward in this video, I just wanted to quickly talk about the US community that I have built. On this community, I teach about US stocks. Every month we have a class, and on every day, almost every day, I write a post and explain my buy and sell calls. In fact, I am making a $1 million portfolio live. It's built around by 25%. It also covers cryptocurrencies. So in case you guys are interested, check out the links in the description and comment box on how to join that community. Now with that said, back to the main video. Now let me try my level best to simplify this extremely complicated topic in very easy to understand language. So first things first, this is what India's forex reserves look like. You will see that India has foreign currency assets, which includes US dollar, etc., etc. We also have gold, we have reserve position in IMF, etc. So similar to this, every country, be it US, be it China, they create their own set of reserves. Now comes a very natural question that what is the objective of creating these reserves? So let's study this from India's example only, that here, if we go to foreign currency assets, we have some percentage of US dollar. For example, let's say that India has 1,000 units of US dollar. Okay. Now suddenly we see charts like this, that every year INR is falling by like 4%, 5%. So if you study the charts from 2020 up until now, INR has depreciated compared to US dollar by a lot. So if Indian government wants that, okay, this is just too fast a fall of INR, what they will do is that they will manage the supply and demand of USD and INR. How exactly, I'll explain. But first, this economics concept. So this is called a supply curve. This is called as demand curve. Okay. And whenever the INR is depreciating, right, and it is falling too fast, what can Indian government do? Well, it can artificially increase the demand of INR. How exactly? They can sell US dollar, right? And with that money, they can buy INR. So what have they done? They have actually increased the supply of US dollar. So this curve shifts rightwards and this demand of INR has been moved upwards like this. Okay, so as a result, the value of INR goes up. So this is how every country on earth, by using their reserves, be it like gold reserve, be it like USD, foreign currency reserves, bond reserves, etc., they are able to manage their currency. So then comes a natural question that, okay, if we don't have such a strategic reserve, then what will happen to our currency? So what will happen is that, for example, if Chinese hold a lot of INR and US holds a lot of INR, they start selling INR and we are unable to do anything about it, that we don't have Chinese yuan, we don't have US dollar, we don't have gold reserve, then our currency will go in a free fall. So within a matter of month, the value of INR can go from, let's say, 90 rupees to a dollar to like 200 rupees to a dollar. So that is the logic of maintaining a reserve. So then comes the third key point that, okay, what is the update now on BTC and why countries like US, why countries like China are creating strategic reserves? So just for context, this is a tweet that I have done. You can see that China right now holds roughly 200,000 Bitcoins. Right now, it has the highest reserve on Bitcoin. Similarly, even US has close to that number. So roughly 200,000 Bitcoins they have. And now they are putting it in a vault, right? So very similar to this Forex reserve vault, they are creating BTC strategic reserve vault, and they will put those 200,000 Bitcoins, or roughly whatever that number is, they will put that BTC reserve into that vault. So then comes the next question that, okay, fine. Now they have like 200,000 of Bitcoin, the US government, Chinese government. What can they do with it? So here you go on TradingView, and what you can see is you can see BTC US dollar pair. Okay. So this is what is important, right? BTC and US dollar pair. Now, what is the meaning of BTC US dollar pair? Okay. Forget about the pricing and all that. The meaning of BTC USD pair is very simple, that basically, right, if for some reason, right, China gets access to a lot of US dollar, India gets access to a lot of US dollar, other countries get access to a lot of US dollar, they can start selling. Okay. And then like how you can counter buy these things, right? For example, if the US has to buy these USD or absorb these USD, then what they need to do? They need to show their gold reserve. They need to show something of value as a reserve, right? So this BTC kind of acts like that. This is in early stages of a reserve game that the entire world is playing. China is looking to play this game. US has already structured it formally now, right? And they will play this BTC game. Now, if we take a step back, we also think about the fact that there has been a lot of talk that US dollar is going down. Now, what is the meaning of US dollar going down? In simple terms, it means that the buying power of US dollar goes down. So this is true because inflation will eat into US dollar, every other type of currency, right? That is absolutely true. This is the last 100-year chart, and you can see that the buying power of USD in comparison to USD pair, buying power has gone down by roughly 90-95%, okay, in the last 100 years. So this pairing is important. For example, if you consider gold in context of USD, the buying power would have gone up like this because you're considering the buying power of gold in context of USD. So has it gone up or gone down? It has gone up. So similarly, the expectation is that this BTC to USD pair, the buying power of BTC will keep on going up. Now, many of you who do not like Bitcoin, who think this is terrorist money because Indian government has said it and all that stuff, see, we are living in a fool's paradise now, right? That even after this strategic move, we are not even looking at Bitcoin. It's madness, okay? That's a simple point. There is no other explanation to it. Why? Because the entire concept of reserve, if you go back and study the history of money in the last 500 years, gold is now a strategic reserve. Oil, strategic reserve. The last major reserve, one could argue, was US dollar, right? That was a strategic reserve. Now it's Bitcoin. Now, if you have to find a commonality between these four things, what makes them a reserve? The simple answer comes out that these four things are extremely valuable to any government in the world, right? For example, let's keep BTC aside, but the first three things, US dollar, is it important to India? Yes. Okay. Very, very important. Similarly, are US dollars very important to China? Absolutely yes. Similarly, is oil important to China, US, Europe? Yes. Is gold important to the entire world? Yes, it is. So the entire fact that a new asset has been added into this strategic reserve of the world, and many countries are shaping it up now. So it's a very important pivotal moment that is happening, and we need to understand the implications of it. So now talking about the implications. So let me help you understand the construct and exact usage that the US government is going to make. So basically they have made a strategic Bitcoin reserve. The purpose is to serve as a financial hedge. Hedge means that, okay, if US dollar is falling really fast, then possibly Bitcoin can be sold from the US government's bank account and they can stabilize the US dollar. That is the meaning of hedging. Funding. Now come see, this is a very important point, right? So the US government is not going to buy it like a normal investor. What they are saying is, because if they buy it as a normal investor, then the price of Bitcoin right now, it will go from like, it's roughly trading at 85,000 US dollars right now. It will go to like 500,000 US dollars in a matter of seconds. Okay. So that's how it's going to go if the US government says that we are going to buy Bitcoin, because that gives massive legitimacy to the entire thing. So US government can't pump it up because that's just madness. Okay. So what they are saying for now is that, hey, we will just seize it, right? Criminal se le lenge, for example, if some exchange has done ghaplebazi, etc., etc. So this has caused a little bit of panic in the Bitcoin community, and in a single day, the price of Bitcoin went down by 6-7%, which is not that, that iffy, so to say, because Bitcoin is volatile, but still there was a drop after this news. I'm just trying to explain you why this was the case. This was a panic because people who buy Bitcoin, their perspective is that, see, Let's say that there are only 100 bitcoins in the world, right? And US government, if it is announced that it is going to seize these bitcoins, then one way or the other, after maybe 50 years, 100 years, they will get access to all these 100 coins eventually, right? And at that point in time, the value of Bitcoin will go to zero. Now, is this correct? Possibly yes, because it's like saying this, that if all the gold in the world is seized by the US government and they keep it, so there will be no trading on the gold. And maybe the US government will come and say that, you know what, you can't trade on gold, give us your gold, seize gold, and deploy like 1,000 different measures just to get access to that gold. So it becomes like a currency of confiscation. So this is the panic that has caused, right? Now, is this good news or bad news for Bitcoiners? According to my analysis, this is actually good, that if the US government is coming, right, and they are saying that we will build this reserve, this indicates to high net worth individual, mutual fund houses, family offices who invest like crores and crores of money. See, Bitcoin is a legitimate asset. The US government itself wants to buy it. Okay, be it maybe not buy it, but seize it. And therefore, they are calling it as a reserve. So this gives more legitimacy to Bitcoin. So this is the overarching factor. And I'll just quickly summarize it so far, that it's fairly simple, that this Bitcoin reserve is important, very, very important. There are not everything is a reserve. That's one. Second key thing is that US government has a very clear plan how they are going to capitalize this reserve and use it. They will use it for hedging purpose also. And this short-term panic is likely to be short-lived, right? So this is what I will say. Rest of the points you can read. Then comes the next logical question that, okay, fine, this is just US. What about other countries? Are they building any kind of reserve? And what happens to countries like India, which are not building this reserve? So I'll explain these two questions now. And this is a very good data point, right? So here you can see that US is close to holding 200,000 BTC. China again, roughly close to 200,000. UK, Ukraine they are holding it because they have no other option. In El Salvador, which is a country, Bitcoin is a national currency. So these countries are early movers on Bitcoin. But when it comes to creating a reserve, right, it's primarily US and China. And even in China, the problem is that it's not very transparent because the government does not publish like transparent data on BTC. But here, right, with the US, you will see transparency of data, that where did they seize it from, how much. It will give like a lot of transparency around this, how they are going to use it. So then comes the next question that, okay, fine, US and China are building this reserve, but what happens to countries which are not building this reserve? See, building a strategic reserve of valuable limited supply asset is a common sense. Okay, oil ho gaya, whether you aggregate like land, whether you aggregate like real estate of any kind, these are all limited supply assets. Gold, these are all limited supply assets. China and US are already doing it. So here is how I will explain it, right? And this is a slightly complicated point, so I'll try my level best to explain it. So see, pehle kya hota tha ki there used to be gold. Okay, so gold used to be medium of exchange, right? Up until like 1970s. Then came US dollar. So because gold, it was very difficult to transact, the government said that, hey, let's do one thing. We'll keep like 100 kilos of gold, right? 100 kgs of gold. And we will release like $1 million in the economy, $1 million US we will release in the economy. This was stage 2. So this was a fiat currency, that instead of having gold, now we have US dollar, right? And this became like the strategic or valuable asset. Okay. Now the important point to understand is that, see, the value of US dollar comes from what? The value of US dollar comes from the fact that it is backed by government's trust, right? This is a common statement that you would have read. But have you ever thought that where does government trust comes from? There has to be some quantification behind it, right? So it comes from the fact that how much reserve or power it has, right? So US has a lot of gold. It's not like that. Moreover, the world trade happens in US dollar. The US dollar itself has a lot of prominence because US is a very strong economy. So to cut the long story short, right, in the future, right, I mean, the third step here would be that the US dollar, right, it's not going to go down in value compared to other currencies. For example, when it comes to INR, will the erosion of buying power of INR go faster, or will the erosion of US dollar buying power will go faster? The answer is INR will erode faster. Why? Because US dollar is buying more and more reserves, or is creating more and more reserves. There is more trust that is being generated on the US economy. Again, how do we verify this? Well, it's very simple, right? That in the time of panic, where do people run? They run to gold, they buy gold. They run to US dollar. Okay, they don't run to like emerging market economies. Why is that the case? Because the emerging economies they do not control massive amount of reserves. Now then comes the next question that, okay, fine, where does Bitcoin fit into all this? Well, it's very simple, that Bitcoin becomes a part of entire reserve that US is creating, right? So US has like USD, one shiny item in their reserve, gold, they will have BTC, they will have like other currencies like Chinese yuan, vagera, vagera. So this entire Bitcoin gets added to US government's reserve portfolio. And this is a very, very important development. The lesson for India is that, see, unless we also start getting into this game and start understanding that creating this reserve is critical for even our country, we'll be late to the party, because by that time, right, I mean, right now the BTC is at 85,000 US dollar, right? By the time India wakes up, right, it will be 300,000 US dollar. We'll be buying the same thing at 300,000 US dollar. So in order to keep our currency alive and thriving and having the ability to stabilize it, every country needs to create more and more reserves. US and China are already well ahead, and hopefully India wakes up, right? So that's my only hope. Then comes the last point that, okay, fine, let's say that we don't do this, then what are the implications for investors? And what is it that investors should do? So three things. Number one point is that it is very likely that from this stage, BTC might go up in value, like not on absolute short-term basis. Short-term, anything can happen. The entire US index, if it corrects by 30%, then of course, like BTC will get hit, right? But BTC generally, from a long-term perspective, it seems like a very solid asset. That's one. So buying BTC makes sense. Number two, buying Chinese stocks also makes sense. Why? Because people would want to now put money in US denominated assets, because US has a big Bitcoin reserve in addition to the economy being strong. Similarly, in China also they would want to put. Why? Because again, China holds another, like, a big set of BTC. That's another set of reserve gold, strong economy, everything. And they are also playing this innovation game. Okay. So this strengthens both the economies, and a lot of money will flow into stronger economies, right? So this is step two, that you could consider buying US stocks, you could consider buying Chinese stocks. How exactly to buy, what to do, what type of stocks to buy. So I do write my buy and sell calls on almost everyday basis, how I'm designing a $1 million portfolio in the US. So in case you guys are interested, you can definitely join this community. If you feel that I've deserved a like and subscribe on this channel, definitely do subscribe on this channel. It will help you amplify your financial knowledge, and I'll keep on bringing these type of videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.